Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, June 18th. I'm Gary Stevens. Open line tomorrow on Talk of the Town. We'll have Wellspring following the 11 o'clock news block. But on this third Thursday of the month, we get an update from Holland City Hall with one of its elected leaders. And today we are joined by 6th Ward Councilman Dave Hoekstra via the Zoom connection. He's on the other end of our connection. Dave, good morning and welcome back to Talk of the Town.
Hi, Gary. I can actually see you. That's pretty cool.
It is very nice to have. And if you have a question for Dave, he'll be happy to take it. Not via the Zoom connection. No, we'll do it the old-fashioned way. 395-1450, 395-1450. First of all, before we go any further, congratulations are due to Dave and your bride. 44 years of marriage. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it was June 18, 1976, the year of the bicentennial that we got married. And she's put up with me for all of this time. So a pretty cool day for us.
And putting up with not only as you as a businessman, but also as a member of Holland City Council, one of the senior members, along with Mike Trethui and Jay Peters, that are the wizened heads on council with a lot of new people since you guys came on board.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Yeah, it's I'm in my 17th year on council now, and you know it is a family affair to some degree, and I've always sort of enjoyed every part of it. Sally is when it comes to election time, that's not her favorite time, but she's been very supportive, and I think it's safe to say we've both enjoyed it. So.
If you have a question for Dave Hoekstra, Holland City Councilman, he'll take it at 395-1450, 395-1450. One thing we've been doing with the council members that have come on board that are not the at-large members, to ask them a little bit about the ward that they represent, where exactly it is, because a lot of times we have some new people in town that don't know, okay, is that my councilman or is that my council person or not? Tell us a little bit about exactly the geographic layout of that 6th Ward.
Yeah, the 6th Ward doesn't have exactly straight boundaries, but roughly speaking, it runs from 32nd Street on the south side to 14th Street on the north side, and roughly River Avenue over to the railroad tracks on 16th Street. So it's sort of the near south side of downtown area.
And that area does have its own challenges because it is very much of a mixed neighborhood.
Yeah, that's for sure. It has a lot of the historic, not officially necessarily designated historic, but some of the older parts, part of town. So you'll find in that area a lot of the rental housing because historically it's been a more affordable area in town to live in. And then you move a little bit farther south and subsequent developments over time. So it tends to be, if I can term it this way, slightly more affluent, perhaps. So there's a little bit of a difference in the demographic. But they're all great people, very knowledgeable, and
Yeah, and because of the diversity, situations is what we've seen in the race relations issue certainly maybe affects the 6th Ward more than maybe some of the other wards in the town. And certainly as a councilman, you are pretty much aware of some of the needs and some of the concerns they have, especially over the last 3 weeks since what happened in Minneapolis on Memorial Day.
yeah. It's a working class neighborhood, several stratifications in that, but you'll find a diversity of ethnic and socioeconomic groups of people. But I think there's a commonality in what we're all experiencing. This is a time, especially with COVID, influencing our lives. There's a lot of things that we just are unknown, a lot of anxiety, disruption of our normal flows. And that's, part of our immediate experience. But for many folks, there's been a sort of a history and a whole experience from birth, beyond that, of some people experiencing not the correct way of living. So there probably are different levels of experience in what you've described, but I also am seeing, I think we're all seeing, kind of a common reaction by many folks realizing that, there's just a lot of stuff going on that's not right. And I think that strikes to the heart of Holland folks in general, strikes a chord that says, we got to do something about this. So you're seeing it in peaceful demonstrations, people having conversations with each other, which is a very important first step, I think, in understanding each other's experiences and coming to a better understanding of why people feel the way they do, why they react in ways that they do. So yeah, it's the Sixth Award is a little bit peculiar, if I could use that word, in some ways, but also there's a commonality that runs through the whole community.
If you got a question for 6th Ward Holland City Councilman Dave Hoekstra, he'll take it at 395-1450, 395-1450. Dave, you mentioned about the impact of COVID-19 as a small business owner. How has that affected you? Because, again, let's preface this with the fact that Holland City Council members are part-time. They're not making their full living as city council members. So you're a small businessman. How has that affected you, and how are you trying to bounce back?
Well, my experience is probably a little different because I'm trying to be retired. So I'm not probably as directly influenced as some others, but a lot of folks I know who are small business owners and trying to, they don't have the wherewithal necessarily banked to easily make it through a time where business is down. So obviously it's a tough time. And that, again, there's a level of anxiety that goes along with that. You want to get back to work, you have to have that income, to pay the bills, frankly. And it's been rough for a lot of folks. And I know some business owners downtown have had a hard time of it, restaurants, coffee shops, and they're doing the best that they can. And the community, I think, has stepped up to a large degree to support them as best they can. You go to get a cup of coffee or take out food, whatever. Now I think we can actually go in, spend a little time there, which we hope to do this evening to celebrate the anniversary.
I hope you can too.
Yeah, but it's been rough, and that's not news to anybody. But folks are resilient. The community has been supportive, and we're doing the best that we can.
Now, there are some topics throughout the city of Holland that we do want to touch with Dave Hoekstra about, and you can join in the conversation as well as 395-1450, 395-1450. An issue that came up a few years ago is about ready to come back up again, and that is dealing with Holland is ready. It's time, Holland, to try to open up for more members of the community to feel welcome here. Because of the fact that you, Mike Trethewey, and Jay Peters are the senior members of the body, the other 6 members of the Holland City Council, relatively new. Do you think this is time that maybe the winds of change are certainly going to be on this particular matter?
Well, I think yes. Short answer to your question. I think that there's a renewed willingness on council to address this issue. As you recall, Brother Mike asked for a report from our city attorney earlier on. We were supposed to get that later in March, I think, on what our options might be in relation to an ordinance, non-discrimination ordinance, whether it's a complete rewrite or an augmentation of what we already have. Obviously, that got put on the back burner because of COVID. But we've had some discussions lately reflecting an eagerness on our part to bring that to the forefront again. And I think we'll be seeing that very soon, coming up for discussion with council on what our options are. And I think, with the results of the latest election have shown that I think the community is even more ready for that conversation now. And, I've had conversations with people in communications indicating that they're ready and anxious for us to tackle that. So we'll be getting into that relatively soon, I think.
Now, some of the other issues involved the city council, some are a little bit more, I don't want to say concrete, but a little bit more routine. And that is the budget. You guys passed the budget last month for fiscal 2021, but as all involved are saying, it's going to be a document that will be revised and revisited from time to time, but still concerns right now about making sure that the bottom line stays, at least it doesn't go into red. And with the revenues issue, that's going to be a challenge for Keith Van Beek and the Holland City staff to be able to pull this one off.
Yeah, no doubt. This latest budget is probably going to be the most fluid one that I've seen since I've been on council. And Keith and the staff did a stellar job of putting that together with the information that they had. Basically, they put the budget together within the context of what we do. And we know that there's going to have to be adjustments. We found out last night a projection that revenue sharing from the state will be down. A lot of revenue sources are going to be less than they were before. So we'll have to make adjustments as we go. But as a city, we're in good shape for the near term for sure. And the staff has been putting a lot of effort into long-range planning, long-range visioning to help us understand 5 years from now what things are going to look like. So we have a very good comprehensive, thanks to the staff again, view of what we're looking at and how we can prepare for that.
395-1450, 395-1450. Can we dare start thinking again about maybe visioning the future of the city of Holland? We're talking about before all of this hit, one of the biggest discussion points is what we're going to do with the waterfront, especially the DeYoung property site. What's going to happen? Access to Lake Mac. That's gone on the back burner really because of the COVID-19 situation, the situation involving policing, the budgets and all that. But can we get back to visioning about how we want to see downtown Holland, or how we want to see the waterfront of Holland be about? Or is that going to be, well, we'll think about it in 2022 or 2023?
Oh, man. I sure hope so. Frankly, it's it's felt like it's been frustrating, at least for me, but I think my colleagues would agree. It's been frustrating. We've been in a survival mode basically for the last couple of months, and we're used to a rhythm where we are visioning, we're thinking forward. We just haven't really been able to do that. But now, funny you should bring up the waterfront. Keith was mentioning a little bit last night about how that hasn't gone away. There's been a little progress in that area, but that again will be coming, I think, in the near future, within the next several months. And that feels good. It's, as I said, it's frustrating to be in a position of leadership where your responsibility is to, try to look forward, try to envision what a better Holland would look like, and just sort of to be kind of thwarted in that by nobody's fault. It's just the way things go. But things are feeling better. Things are looking up. So we'll be getting back into that rhythm pretty quickly.
Another issue that was a big issue in 2018, 2019, and again, back on the back burner because of crisis, all hands on the deck because of certain other things, dealing with low income or income restricted housing. I know that last night was an issue south of your ward about maybe higher density housing, trying to maybe bring more housing in, but an area that might be kind of dicey for it. Still dealing with, a low income housing and the questions and the dimensions of that particular topic, certainly still one that has to be on the minds of Holland City Council members.
Yeah, that gets to be, as anyone who has attended any of those meetings, particularly about that parcel, could be a bit of a sticky wicket. There's an obvious need for additional housing, particularly in the low to moderate income levels. I don't have to go into that whole discussion to try to validate that. There's an obvious need. On the other hand, you have residents who have lived where they've lived for a long, long time in an environment that they've gotten used to. And it's natural to, when you have that much and that high level of change before you, to get anxious about that. So we went through our process of determining it was an excess property and opening it up to bids. We have a proposal. It's gone through Planning Commission and they've approved it. So now it comes back to us in terms of a rezoning request. So some of the area of discussion is kind of off the table because of where it's at now, but certainly we have certain things that we can consider within the context of the rezoning request. So yeah, it's one of those things where, with a lot of things in developing a community, there's a lot you have to weigh, and you'll never make everybody happy, and you have to, again, look long term. What are the long term benefits going to be for everybody? That's why we get paid so much, Gary, for what we do.
You get the big bucks on that. Oh,
there
well.
you go.
Dave, let me bring up a topic that hasn't been brought up a lot, but we usually get a caller that likes to bring it up, called parking, and maybe accommodating more parking in the downtown area. We got 2 ramps now, one on 7th, one on 9th. That's helped alleviate the problem. But with the Civic Center, hopefully getting back to some semblance of normalcy, with the popularity of the farmers market is still there, a lot of activities in downtown Holland, parking is going to become, again, another, let's just say, something that the city council might have to deal with.
Yeah, it's a perennial problem. We all like our cars and we don't like to walk that much, unfortunately, for a lot of us, myself included, I guess I have to say. It's something that we look at a lot. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of open area available to readily make more parking. As you say, having the 2 parking ramps has been a big boon. It's interesting with the development of the western part of 8th Street, seen a lot more cars parking in the Civic Center a lot to access those businesses. And there's no easy solution. I think it's probably a combination of things. We have to learn as people that it's not bad to walk. You go to Europe, especially spending time in the Netherlands, people ride bikes like crazy. They walk all over the place. They're probably healthier for it. So that's, I think, an evolution of attitude that we probably need to engage in as a community to get more used to walking. And we'll just have to look for more creative ways to accommodate folks who are coming to visit. And as we get older, it's just not that easy to walk too, I guess, Gary.
We certainly understand that. Let's get one caller before the end of the segment. Good morning. You're on the line with Councilman Dave Hoekstra.
Yeah, Dave. And Gary, you brought this up anyway, so I'll continue it. What is a possibility of getting parking on the west side of Lincoln Avenue only, like putting no parking signs down the west side from 16th down to, 9th or 10th?
In other words, no parking on the west shoulder, now the west curb of 16th from 9th to 6th, west curb of Lincoln from 9th to 16th, right?
correct, because it's already no parking from 16th to 15th, and then I believe it's 11th to 9th Street. And the line goes right down the middle. And if somebody parks there, people don't know that they need to move over.
Okay. Let me get the answer because we're almost done with the segment. Appreciate the call. Thank you. David?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm sure our city manager is listening, and we can look into that. There's a lot of things that factors that go into those considerations. Having cars parked along the street does help slow traffic, and that's a consideration on that stretch too. But something we can certainly look into.
With that, Holland City Councilman, 6th Ward, Dave Hoekstra, thank you very much for joining us today on WHTC's Talk of the Town. Wish you and all the council members well. Look forward to chatting with you again soon, sir.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate the invitation.
Thank you very much. That's Holland City Councilman Dave Hoekstra on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. CBS News with Bill Rakoff coming up, followed by WHTC News with Peg McNichol, and then Wellspring from Spectrum Health Zeeland Community Hospital on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.